to this computer. All right, we are recording.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order at 6:42 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the meeting of April 8th, 2021. Did anybody have any comments on the minutes? Otherwise, would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve minutes of April 18th, 2021.
Oh, 18th, sorry. Is it 8th? Yeah, 18th.
8th, I'm sorry. It's kind of small on my screen. I'm sorry.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Chris, were you at the last meeting?
I was at the meeting. I'm not sure if I was at the last. Yeah, I was at the last meeting, right? Because I remember all the revisions we were going over.
Okay, I couldn't remember if you were. Did we do 2 meetings for the bylaws?
I was at one of them.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so we're here to review the personnel policy and procedures. And Megan has gone through our existing policies and has some suggested revisions that some of which are connected to are now having a collective bargaining agreement. So I think I'm going to ask Megan to take us through what she is suggesting, and we can consider those changes as we go through. Does everybody have their binder?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And just to note, Chris, I'm having you abstain from the minutes because you were not at the April 8th meeting.
Yeah, we must have had 2 of them then, because I was at one when we were going over it.
Yeah.
You had only the half the fun then.
Yeah.
Oh, you were at the March 25th meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me get this up on the screen. Share.
Is there any way to make it bigger? Maybe get rid of our pictures? It's just, I can't read it. I can read it from my booklet, but I can't read the screen really without like having my face right up against the screen. Or if is anybody else having trouble seeing it?
Yes.
I'm just going to use my book, I think.
Okay.
Looking at,
Like could you hit enlarge at the top, or does that not affect the,
I can't, let me see if I can actually, there might be something I can do. Oh, I have 2 mice here, so I gotta try to. No, it's not doing anything. Okay, I thought I could possibly zoom in.
Can you do it if you go into view and just make it larger
Yeah, let's try that.
further down? There you go. And bring it out.
do zoom
Yeah,
And then-
zoom it.
and then do 200%?
There you
There
go.
we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so first part is number 2. Anybody have any questions?
No, it's really just updating it. That's perfect.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
It's just a language thing. Should it say on an annual basis to which the library adheres as opposed to adheres to, because it's a dangling participle? Forgive me, but
Yep.
Say that again. Oh, to which the
to
library?
which the library adheres, so that you don't have that to dangling at the end.
So move the 2.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
sorry. Just
All right, so next we go to number 4.
Now, is it possible to be more than one collective bargaining agreement?
It's possible there could be.
Okay.
Are you asking because it's plural instead of
You're right.
singular?
Yeah,
You can have a supervisor union as well. We don't, but you could.
okay, well, we might as well keep it flexible. I think there's a word missing in the last sentence, if not unless expressly excluded from a given section of the policy. Or is that what the intention is?
Okay.
Is that what you meant?
Unless expressly excluded a given section of this policy. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for number 4?
Uh-uh.
All right. Well, I didn't make any edits to employee classification. Does anybody have any questions or things they want to see changed or updated in that section?
Well, they're pretty clear, Megan.
Okay, then we're number 6, where it once said recruitment. I changed it to procedures for filling vacancies.
Can you scroll down?
Oh, so, yep. Sorry, I scrolled down on mine, not yours.
That's okay. That's okay. I know you're working on 2 different computers. It's a little confusing. Can I ask one question here? So when you have something that comes from the contract that's in this body, how will that, will that be indicated somehow? Will it say from contract?
No, the purple are just my notes to you.
Okay,
So-
so is there any way it's going to distinguish to say that's the origin point in case something changes in the next time we go through?
That's my notes. We wouldn't put into the personnel policy where the language came from.
Okay. Right.
Anyone else? Okay, next is B, information. I took out and salary range because we started doing instead writing in that description meets or exceeds minimum state requirements. And we found we have better success receiving candidates that way.
Mhm. Definitely take it out.
All right, and if I don't stop at a section that I didn't make modifications to that you want, please stop me. All right, the next is appointments. So I just added in department I made it supervisors.
Mhm.
Now, Megan, so it says that the library director has the power to make appointments for all library, that the board hires the director then in turn hires every other position, correct?
Yes,
So you've been bringing the new hires to us to let us know to approve?
I was trying to do that for supervisor positions.
For supervisors, okay.
Ideally, I'd like you to approve, because what I've started doing is having you approve me filling positions.
Right,
I think supervisors, since we give them the capacity to act on behalf of the director, that they should be approved by the board.
right. And
Well, should we add that to this?
I wouldn't right now. We just started doing it. Let's see how it works out. We can add it the next go around.
okay, that's why I asked, because I thought that's fine.
Yeah. All right. So next we get to B, position.
I think down where it says written job descriptions. Will be, and then it says employees will be provided with their own job. It should say description. Upon request. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yes,
And then in the first sentence, it should be the library director. Or, I don't know if we do, are we doing his or her, or are we doing their designate,
There or they.
their designate?
Okay. Oh, so the library director or their designee. Okay.
I think we said just designate before that though, didn't we? Maybe not, maybe because I read it so much, it's kind of blurry in my head. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Then C.
When you have 7E, that's just referring them down to
A
the,
different section of the contract, or sorry, policy.
okay. So when I looked at 7E, I'm confused by what it is that it doesn't talk about the probationary period, does it? Am I missing something?
To be honest, the numbers don't line up. A
Okay,
position,
that's why.
my staff and I made so many revisions to this, by the end, I stopped trying to keep up with the numbers and letters until we're done. So
Okay.
position which the employee has passed 6-month probationary period.
I think there are I'm sorry, B and C definitions.
Yes.
But where do we call this, like a definition section?
So how it was originally organized is definitions are introduced throughout the contract. There is no definition page.
Uh-huh.
So the best I could do was try to distinguish when it was a definition. And you're going to see it more throughout the contract.
And so should really like B start, because the first sentence doesn't really make sense if you don't know that these are definitions. So maybe what we should say is a position is X.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise you say position, a group of current duties, it doesn't go in.
The B, a group of current duties and their responsibilities assigned or delegated by the library director or designee. That sentence is the definition for position.
Right. But what I'm saying is I think we need to start that sentence, if we're not calling this a definition section, where it would be obvious that
Yes.
you don't have to have a full sentence necessarily, because you've called these definitions. But because we're switching back and forth, like with A is not a definition. I think maybe to be clear, we ought to start by having some more words in the beginning of a sentence, like a position is a group of, or if that's what we mean.
So for B, we'd start with a position is.
Is that really what that, let's see, a position is a group of current duties and responsibilities?
So then we do the same thing with regular position.
Right.
Then it'd be regular position is a position, blah, blah, blah. And then whatever the references would be updated. Ultimately, right?
Yes.
Robin,
Okay.
maybe you were on the right idea when you said just make it definitions. So change where B is to definitions, and then everything would fall under
So you'd have
all the things
B1
you're
would,
defining.
yeah, B1 would be position, B2.
Right. And then what Megan has would work.
Yeah. Then we,
All right. Can you just say that again so I can follow? What am I doing?
but are we only defining position and regular position.
And temporary positions and transfers.
But you're not just
No.
defining, are you?
Right. The only three things we're defining in this section are position, regular position, and promotion. And
Mhm.
Right.
so I think it'd probably be better. I don't know if there's enough definition words to define.
Well, why can't you, on the beginning of that section, just write definition with a colon? And then everything else following it is obviously a definition.
Well, it's not.
It's not.
So
Oh, it is under C though, yeah.
the first sentence is the definition, and then after that is
Hmm.
what that position can do. All right, aside from how it's laid out, does anybody have any issues with the content?
I'm being picky, but under position, where you had taken out the word should, which makes sense, but I think we don't need the word do. I think all positions have written job descriptions.
Okay, because what we can do is come back to formatting later after we approve
Yeah,
all the content.
that's a
because
good
otherwise
idea.
we're not gonna get very far tonight.
Right.
So
We
I'll
can,
make-
we can also all sort of take our pens a little bit to it independently and come back with some suggestions.
Right, we can go back to areas, right?
So I'm gonna make notes of the areas we're gonna go back to. So we're gonna go back to section 6, A through E, clarify definitions versus role. Okay, all right, but otherwise, so are there any issues with the content?
Under
Well-
transfer, can an employee can initiate a transfer?
Yes,
So meaning they can request it. Right, they can, is that what happens? They start the process by requesting to be transferred?
yes. So yeah, they can apply for a different position or request to be transferred to a different position.
May I ask a question about paragraph C?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. We define position, but then you're also defining a recall list and a candidate list in there. Right? Because I don't remember that being defined anywhere else. Should those, does that make the most sense to be under regular
would-
position? Or should that be someplace else? I don't mean to muddy up. It's just
Well,
that,
Tia, have any previous directors had a recall list or a candidate a recall list? Because I've never seen one.
Not that I know of.
not that I know of,
So
no.
do we need it?
Well, that was part of my question. I mean, because if you're defining it, then it should be,
Taken out, and like, if we're not going to do it, then we would just say the director makes appointments.
right,
selects qualified applicants.
right. Because I don't think that that's something that is required of us. Is that correct?
Not to my knowledge, I can.
Yeah, as I look through the union contract in my memory of negotiations, that was not something that came up.
But even if it does, it's still for union positions. Do we keep a recall list for supervisors who are really our non-union positions?
Right, if there's nothing in here in this document that gives people recall rights, and there's nothing in the bargaining agreement that gives union employees recall rights.
That's kind of where, thank you, Robin. I wasn't good at describing why I was concerned about it. Not concerned, but
So you're saying take it all out?
unless,
It's not necessary, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's sort of an operational thing, and unless it's required of us, I don't know that we would want necessarily. That may be a standard practice, but it might change over time.
And I
And
could
I-
always do it. I could always call someone back, even if it's not in the personnel policy.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
probably would if there was a candidate that you
Yeah.
liked.
Right, right, that you thought was appropriate.
My concern was that this restricted the authority of the library director
Mhm.
in operational issues that was more restrictive than necessary. Because I looked through the union contract and I didn't see it there.
Yeah.
So,
right. So I'm going to take that out for now then.
okay.
Well, and the other question is, what is regular position a definite, a term that's used elsewhere that we need to?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's also yeah.
Do you know where the first time it's referred to?
I can find it. Find. It's in here 18 times.
Okay, I just wonder if maybe the first time we talk about it, if all we're gonna have left in this is this first sentence, that maybe we put it with the first time we talk about regular positions.
Wait.
Like I see demotion starts with regular employee, which is the regular.
So a regular employee is used anytime we're talking about someone who has passed their probationary period.
Right, so maybe is regular position used again, or is it regular employee?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, I just am wondering if,
Good point.
It's only used in that one section, section C.
So
maybe we could just, if the first time we talk about a regular employee, we can say defined as an employee who has passed the 6-month probationary period, like even in parentheses.
So take
We have
that.
it, oh, we have it right there, I'm sorry.
yeah, it's on page 2, right?
Right,
Well, page 2 is the definition of a regular employee. Now you're talking about regular position, combining the two.
well, no, what I'm saying is if regular position isn't used again, and we would just say regular employee, then we don't need this at all. C. And then looking back at the regular employee classification, it says completes the introductory period. Isn't it, you're calling it probationary period now? Wow, this is a nightmare.
Yes, it is. Welcome to Megan's hell.
Oh, Megan,
But,
I
you know,
want
if you want to start from scratch, you are welcome to.
to know. I don't.
No,
Oh, that would be worse.
no. Megan, you've done a fantastic job with this. I know how
Yeah,
this is very meticulous work. It's
and it's like when you move one piece, everything else shifts. Like, you know,
Right.
it's puzzles.
We've had 3 different employees comb through this to try to fix it. So
All
collective effort.
right, well, I'm going to back off a little bit maybe on some of this stuff, but I'm just thinking that when in number 5 on page 2, where we talk about a regular employee, and you're now defining the probationary period as the first 6 months, that you should be saying the probationary period instead of the introductory period.
Okay, so I changed that.
Okay. And then, I don't know, does anybody think that we need to have this regular position definition here at all? Or letter C?
I think we could almost take it out, couldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, if we're taking everything out but the first sentence, which we are,
Right.
because the rest is the waiting lists and things, then
Just
I don't,
There's nothing in B that would contradict though. All positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, take it out.
Okay. Yay.
So just leave the first sentence?
Oh,
I
I
think-
took out the whole thing.
You don't even need that.
Take the whole thing out.
C is out.
Okay, anything with temporary positions?
No?
All right, then transfers.
why did you take out number 3? Did you think it just would be covered under 2, that there'd be a lot of different factors?
Further training about an employee in another position would be beneficial to further. I didn't think it was necessary.
Okay, yeah, 2 is very broad. I mean, and
Yeah.
Yeah, two
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah,
Be
we
in F.
thought it was unnecessary to say.
Should it be in the best interest or interest? You need that F at the end? On number 2? Is in the best interest of the library? I don't know.
I think it could be either one.
Okay,
I think you need to add the word when back at the end of, before 1 and 2.
mhm. When it is in the best interest of the library?
No, like,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, promotions.
I thought it looked good.
Sorry, let me scroll down. All right, any concern with what was been taken out? Because we already covered some of this in the vacancies position at the beginning of the policy. Probationary period.
it looks like there's a word missing in the first paragraph. The demonstrated ability to perform the duties of the position satisfactorily performed in the position. Like,
Oh, it looks like I just didn't cut it out when I edited it.
okay, so
Perform the duties of the position satisfactorily. Just end it there.
okay,
Okay.
Take out perform in the position?
Yeah.
Because that's inferred, right?
Well, yeah, it's the language is taken from somewhere else. When I copy and pasted it, I probably carried over more.
Okay.
Now for the second paragraph, I choose to take it from the contract to make it easier to keep track of each employee's probationary period as opposed to having two separate periods.
So whether they're covered by the bargaining unit or not, everybody falls under the same kind of,
Yes.
Rules, right,
I think that makes sense.
it does.
And then is it the library director who is it your judgment? It's not, I mean, the library isn't an entity really, or a thing, but that would, a decision-making body.
All right, yeah, that would be the library director. In the sole judgment of the library director.
And then same thing in the next sentence. As it continues around the next clause.
Okay. Then anything in demotions that people were concerned with?
The only thing that I would say there is, instead of starting each of them with when, can you say qualified for any of the following reasons when, and then each time, so instead of each one starting with when, it just starts with a position, an employee. Does that make sense?
All right, hold on. A regular employee may be demoted to a position of lower grade for which they are qualified for,
Any of the following reasons when,
oh, add one to there. Okay.
Wouldn't you take out for any of the following reasons? You would just say when?
So qualified when.
oh, good point.
All right, so qualified when, and then I take when out of one and when out of two and when out of three. Okay.
Yeah, that reads better.
Then I changed employee work performance to operational policies.
Hey, just one sec. Who does the demotion? Isn't it you?
Yes.
But then at the end, it says all demotions must receive the approval of the library director. So I think maybe you want to say the library director may demote or something like that in the beginning, but then after number 3, wouldn't say,
Oh, we've had supervisors in the past to recommend demotions to the director.
But it's the director who ultimately makes the decision, correct?
Yeah, it is. So where am I changing? All promotions must receive approval.
no, this isn't demotion.
Yeah, I'm looking, I assume you meant the last sentence, all demotions must receive the approval of the library director? Is that what?
Right, I don't know that we would have that.
Yeah.
Maybe we would say in the beginning that a regular employee may be demoted by the library director.
Okay. And then, so take off that sentence at the end?
Like that first sentence, but you'd leave the notification.
Okay.
I assume there's no appeals process or anything.
But there's a grievance process that comes in later.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
What is the final decision on that? How is that gonna go?
It's
All demotions,
so it's going to start, a regular employee may be demoted by the library director.
okay.
And then that last paragraph, the first sentence is coming out of.
And this is a niggling point, but is the letter notification sent to the employee or given to the employee? Just that the word sent implies that, oh gee willikers, one day I get an envelope in the mail.
Maybe,
Well, you can
how would
also,
you really do it?
And give just, you could,
How about provided?
There you go, something like that, rather, because sent sounds like snail mail or email, but provided. I like
Oh.
that.
All right.
And Megan, there is no recourse on that?
You mean in our policy?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some, I'm sure you could find a way in the grievance process. But make notes of questions. Let's see how much we can get through tonight. Then when we do the second go around, we can come back. Only
Okay.
because it's 7:20 now, and I'm in the library tonight, and we close at 8.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, operational policies. Any concern with the subject heading?
And so you move to the performance section someplace else, right?
It's still in here, but it's under operational. I mean, the section covers operations as well as performance. But why don't you read through it all first and we can come back.
Okay. In number 2, the addition, do you mean that you're going to determine which 35 hours they're going to be working?
Yes.
yeah, so should that say that the scheduled by the library director or scheduled by the library or something to say more scheduled, right? Isn't that your implication there, Robin?
You could just say which hours shall be determined. I just feels like it's sort of hanging, but I'm probably being overly picky on that. So I could live with it the way it is, or my suggestion is just after we say 35 hours per week, we say which hours shall be determined by the library director. Or detector. We'll call you the library detector. I think it's
Feels like sometimes.
fun. And then you took out the word energies. I'm sorry, you took out the word and, but
Oh, all employees are expected to regular working to devote their full. Yes.
you just thought it was extraneous to have and in there.
I don't even remember who took it out at this point.
I mean, they might be different concepts. I think and probably belongs there.
Okay.
Or just have devote their full time to the performance.
Yeah, I was curious about the word energies.
Okay, so just full time to the performance.
Yeah.
And then you've got 24 per in parentheses. Per probably shouldn't belong in there. And then number 3. And then in number 4, I would just start with the work week instead of just work week.
Okay. All right, so then attendance.
Okay with attendance.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
Meal periods.
Is that from the bargaining agreement?
No, there's nothing in the bargaining agreement.
Okay. And if you're
Megan,
gonna,
Go ahead, Robin.
this is so small, but if you're gonna put numbers and numerals in parentheses, we'll do that in the next section after 6.
Okay. Okay.
Mary, what did you have?
Are there other criteria, Megan? Do they have to take a 15-minute break or other breaks during the day? Anything
The-
stated?
State law doesn't have very much in it.
Okay,
Um, so the truth is, state law doesn't require a 15-minute break. Let me pull up.
Yeah, I remember we went through this.
Yeah. Rule of law requires employees to offer at least one 30-minute meal break to employees who work 7.5 consecutive hours or more. The breaks must occur sometime after 2 hours and before 5.5 hours. Let's see.
So we're being more generous than the statute requires.
Yes.
I'm okay with the verbiage.
Yeah. The
And I
only time we give them 15 minutes is in lieu of a 30-minute break. If they work more than 7.5 hours, you can give them the equivalent of 30 minutes in 15-minute increments.
And I like the fact that number 4, you take through that they have to take it and that they can't do it at, at the end so they can leave early or work through to, I think that was excellent.
Yeah,
Yep. We've dealt with that before.
Yes, I know. I remember.
Mm. All right. Anything else from meal breaks?
Nope.
Okay. And payroll records.
So is this, you want to keep it open, like it's not a weekly thing, or says it must be submitted at a time specified by the director? But do they submit these worksheets weekly, or how is that done?
But it's different each week depending on when I'm off or when Barbara's off, or if the town needs them early because of holidays. So we opted not to put a date of the week or a time.
Okay.
And this is just a question, Megan. I know you're going to hate me at the end of this, if you don't already. The second bullet says all paid leaves of absence must be recorded. Is there any purpose to our keeping track of unpaid leaves of absence?
I don't think we need it in the personnel policy.
Okay,
No consequence for using unpaid leave.
other than people just, somebody who's just not showing up and saying, oh, well, I guess I was looking at it more from an absentee issue than anything.
Then we would have to put in something regarding what would happen if they use too much unpaid leave or have a.
Okay, never mind, sorry.
Anything else for payroll records?
No.
All right. Then we go to outside employment.
There, I think in number 3, where it says provided such employment, it should say does not interfere.
Provided such employment, so non-work hours does not provide such.
Or no, it does not interfere with.
Oh, okay, got it. Does not. There are no restrictions on work during non-work hours.
How about in number 4, using library-owned equipment? How about for personal purposes, like their kids' paper, printing it off or something? How would you? Because this is just saying they can't use it.
I don't think we can put that there because that doesn't have,
I'm sorry, what?
because this category is outside employment.
Oh, okay.
Because this is the outside
Right.
employment, I don't think we can make reference to their kids.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think it's a good idea to take out number 5. It's really too nosy.
Absolutely. No question on that one.
In my spare time, I'm a pole dancer. Is that all right?
Well, my other concern is this applies to full-time and part-time, and the idea that we would tell a part-time employee that this is your first priority.
Yeah.
I
Right.
think that that's a little over the
Mhm.
line.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you're working 12 hours a week, yeah, that would be a little ridiculous.
Then, okay, number 9, performance evaluations.
So Megan, if the way I read it, then there would be no evaluations?
There will, just we
Just
haven't,
only when you feel it's necessary?
yes.
Do you want to say when then, or
So when evaluations are deemed necessary, okay.
then-
Sorry, go ahead, Robin.
and then after library director to say then instead of than?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yep,
DHE
got
then, yeah. So Megan, can an employee ask for an evaluation?
I don't see why not. I mean, with or without a personnel policy, they could certainly ask for one.
What would you have to give it without saying that in here? If it's
No.
not, if it's not been an issue, then maybe we don't bring it up.
I'd rather not put that in.
Well, we can leave this vague, yeah.
I think, when we roll back around to review this in 2 years, we can certainly make changes. We have it this way for now for the fact that the evaluation process needs to be redone. The way we were doing it prior took about 3 to 4 months to complete. That is far too much time to spend on performance evaluations. And when we got into the union contract negotiations, evaluations had to come off the table for a while. So it simplifies things for the time being to make it when, not are.
Megan, I've got a question on number 2 there. It says that the copy of the evaluation must be signed by the employee.
Yeah.
Does that mean that the employee agrees with it or just that they have seen it?
They have seen it.
Okay, it doesn't say that though, does it?
Maybe just you want to add something like to acknowledge receipt.
The copy evaluation shall be signed by the employee, the evaluator, and the reviewer and forwarded to the director. So where should I put that in? A copy of the evaluation shall be signed.
By the employee to acknowledge the employee.
To acknowledge.
To acknowledge
receipt.
receipt.
Yeah,
And then, okay, then how do we clean up the rest of it? A
and
copy-
shall be signed by.
Okay, so a copy of the evaluation should be signed by the employee. to Acknowledge receipt and
And
shall
shall be signed by the evaluated.
and- okay, got it. Okay. Okay, anything else from performance evaluation?
Um, can I ask a question about disciplinary action if we're done with the performance?
Disciplinary action. Yes,
Okay. It talks about records of the disciplinary action maintained. Does that and this is a question. So if somebody gets a verbal reprimand from their supervisor, does that get noted in their file or not?
in their file, no, because then
Okay.
it's considered written.
Beg your pardon.
It's considered written if it's put into the file.
Okay, so, because I know you talk about the verbal, I know that comes up.
Further down,
Yeah, under D, under reprimand.
right.
Okay, I just was curious as to whether or not there's any, how you keep track, just thinking about the grievance process,
It's followed up with an email as per our conversation and it's,
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you. That's what that's what I was wondering. Thank you.
In number 5, I'm sorry, I'm onto the causes for action. Unless anybody has anything else.
Under B,
Yeah,
yes.
in number 15, it just says that it's only bad if they destroy these things during their scheduled working hours. Wouldn't it be bad if they were doing that when they were not working?
So employees, so let's just take out during scheduled working hours.
Yeah,
Right, right. Good catch, Robin.
it seems like they'd be more likely to do it off hours.
When nobody's looking.
And then in 16, has gender been added to the usual list of discrimination, gender identity? I'm just not, we just want to make sure we're up to date on all of the things that are sort of standard in anti-discrimination policies. I'm not sure if that is or not, but
Yeah.
A sexual preference, right? Does that cover it?
it doesn't actually. If gender identity is something that people are now putting into their non-discrimination policies, that's different from sexual preference.
So let's add it in. National gender, sexual preferences, or gender.
Identity, I think. Gender would be sex.
Okay.
And my last question is there any authorized possession of a weapon in number 17? Like if
Field
someone,
weapon.
if someone were allowed to carry, like had a permit,
Yeah,
would they be allowed to bring a weapon?
I have no idea. Connecticut.
It may not know anything tonight, but
I think there is a concealed carry.
But can we say employees can't have weapons on library premises?
Probably a question for Marty or for somebody in the town.
You know what? I'll pull up the town's personnel policy first
Okay.
and see how they address it. Okay. All right, anything else before we move on? We have about 20 minutes left tonight.
Well, we're a third of the way through, right?
We're getting there.
I think the hard part's been done.
We haven't gotten to. Okay, so reprimand, suspensions, dismissals.
So this is where the grievance would come in. Correct.
Where I put an employee who was a member of a collective bargaining unit should refer
Yep.
to I think I have to move that to the very top of dismissal.
Okay, good, because that's what I was gonna ask.
Oh, I know, I see why. So it should. So full-time employees and part-time employees in supervisory positions are not part of the collective bargaining unit. So number 2 should probably say full-time and part-time employees.
There you go. Okay.
In non-supervisory positions.
Yeah. Right, because,
Then they'd be in the union.
yeah,
Okay. Separations.
I just want to make sure in dismissal what we're doing. So we're captioning in number 1, full-time employees and part-time employees in non-supervisory positions. Is that how it's going to read? Or
Full-time and part-time employees in non-supervisory positions. Oh, not to fix. Or part-time employees alive. In the library is just subject by the literature is not.
and then at the end of part-time employees, they should refer to the collective bargaining agreement on. Is it in Article 17 or what? Then at the top of page 12, I'm not sure what that is.
So an employee who's environment should refer to the bargaining agreement. All right, in Article 17.
So it should stay in, not on, right?
Of the agreement.
well, it already says refer to the collective bargaining agreement on Article 17, right?
Shouldn't it say in instead of on?
Oh,
How about saying should refer to Article 17 of the collective bargaining agreement?
Refer to- Okay.
And then dismissal under 11, is that 10F instead of B?
Okay.
That should be 10F. Yeah.
Are we moving on to 11?
We're in 11.
Okay. On resignation, you're saying that they should tell you 4 weeks in advance if they have a position requiring an MLS, or 2 weeks notice for other, you're requesting it. But then it says the director may designate a short period of notice because of extenuating circumstances. What happens if they just leave? I mean, we're asking for it.
And it says they're not within good standing when they leave, and if somebody calls for reference, all we can just say is they were not in good standings when they left.
Oh, I see. Okay, wishing to leave in good standing.
Right.
Okay. Then it's not should, it's shall, right? And requested is required. I mean, if you're going to make it a condition of giving them a good reference, then you should make it mandatory, unless you allow them otherwise. It should is like suggesting, and requesting is kind of making nice, like, please give us 2 weeks notice.
Okay.
And then is there a retirement age?
What?
Number 5, it just says retirement is defined as termination with immediate eligibility for normal or early retirement benefit. So you're just making reference to the Bethel pension plan
Yes.
and whatever it says in there.
I can't put an age in here because each employee, the age is going to be different.
Okay. All right, and then there's nothing under death or termination or other termination, I don't think.
Well, it's no.
That get moved from someplace else, and maybe it just didn't get all moved.
Sorry, what was that?
What was the text of 6 moved from someplace else, but or
No,
number 6?
That's how it was in the policy.
So we just say that, oh, that's a separation, I guess.
It sure is.
It seems weird to have that in there. I don't know what it meant.
Is it necessary?
Well,
Yeah.
we reference death again later in the next section for payment of fringe benefits upon
Right.
separation.
Well, but that's okay. I mean, that's related to the payment of fringe benefits, but I mean, it's just having it as a category under separations without saying anything about it
Would you like me to remove it?
I think so. Anybody else have thoughts on that?
I think it's not necessary.
And it makes me wonder it makes me wonder that if there was something else that we were supposed to say there, if it doesn't say anything.
No, it even has a period at the end of it.
Okay. And then in number 12, an employee who is a member of the bargaining unit to refer to, I would say again, Article 18, Article 17 of the collective bargaining agreement. And I don't think you have to say what the name of the section is. It's just Article 17.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything in that section?
I think it sounds good. And the in case of death covers the death part. So
Right.
it was good to take 6 out. Yeah.
We try to get through grievance and then call it a night.
5 minutes.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that this mirrors a lot of what comes out of the what came out of the
No,
no.
no.
So this is what was there before.
Yes, you'll notice there's almost no red to it. I've changed very little of it.
Okay.
Megan, I've got a question on a number of places you referred to certain articles in the collective bargaining agreement. If that gets updated at some time in the future, then all of these article numbers are going to be wrong.
Yes, but I'm required to update the personnel policy anytime the contract is updated.
Right.
Okay. You can't just say, refer to the agreement, bargaining agreement. You have to have the article number there.
Prefer to, because it makes it easier for my staff and I to know when to reference the contract and where to go. And since I have to update, well, let me rephrase that. The board has to review it every time the contract is renegotiated. It's not a lot of additional work.
Okay.
I think somebody should do a word search through here, because sometimes we refer to this as personnel policy. And then like in B, we call it personnel policy and procedures, but then in C, step 1, we say personnel policy.
Good catch.
I mean, we could probably just say this policy instead of constantly repeating the name of the policy, but just want to be consistent.
Referring to the procedures, which is separate from the policy. I think they're two different things.
This document is called personnel policies and procedures, right? Is there like a procedure section? I know, like,
Oh, it is. It should just be called personnel policy. You should never marry together policies and procedures. All right. I'll have to figure that out.
okay, I think maybe we should adjourn now. What's that? Anybody else think?
Good idea. So are we finished with grievance though? Do we think That,
No, we should come back to it next
Yeah,
time.
let's assume we stopped at separations and then
Okay.
pick up at 12, number
Okay.
12. Do we have another meeting date?
Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
I'm sure I have it on my calendar, but I just wanted to remind you.
It is May 20th.
All right, does anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Nobody wants to leave?
I'll third.
Well, how about a vote? Everybody want to leave? Aye.
Yeah, all in favor. Right.
Okay.
Thank you,
The
Megan.
meeting is adjourned.
Good job, everybody.
Meeting-
They have a good
Meeting
night.
is adjourned at 7:53. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.